Oh, hey everybody, Chris Gault here, Healthy Living with Chris Gault, and today we're going to talk about healthy eating, and we're going to talk about it right now. Alright, so make sure you watch the full video, and that way you get all the tips. So I'm going to go over these tips. A lot of them kind of tie in together, so to get the best benefit, watch the whole video, and that way you'll know what to do in order to help get yourself to eating healthier. Also, make sure you take action on these tips, because that's the only way it's actually going to work. Because if you can watch the tips, but if you don't actually change anything, then nothing will change. So make sure you do that. And before I get into the actual tips, I just want to mention, whenever in doubt, just make sure common sense prevails. So if something doesn't feel good to you, or you don't want to do something, then make sure you use common sense to get through it, and you should be in good shape. The main thing is you don't want to kill yourself on something that, you don't want to go cold turkey on something that's not going to be feasible for you to keep and maintain the rest of your life, and we'll get into that. So you want to make sure that slow steps are better than taking one gigantic step and getting you to your goal. And the whole thing is you don't have to be there tomorrow, but you have to start today in order to get there eventually. So that's when the common sense pops in, and hopefully that makes sense. So the first tip that I have is try to eat as much raw, clean, organic food as you can. And I know that sounds kind of vague, because it is, but what it basically means is as much as you can. So nobody that I know is actually 100% fully raw, vegan, organic all the time. I mean, because life gets in the way, you do things, and sometimes you might cheat on your diet, and that's okay. So I just wanted to say, though, as much as you can, though, eat as much raw, clean, and organic as you can, and you are going to be much better off. So make sure you look for those organic emblems that are on the produce and the products that are out there, and that way you'll know you're getting something that's cleaner. Also, make sure you look at the ingredients, and we'll get into that in a minute, so that you know what you're eating. The next one is, and I said this before in other videos, but it all starts at the grocery store. So think about it. The first thing you want to do when you go grocery shopping is don't go into the grocery store when you're hungry. And it's a mistake that a lot of us make. And what happens then is you're buying emotionally versus your need for the nutrients and the food that you need to have for health. So if you go in, what I would always suggest is always eat, be full, then go in, and you're probably going to pick what's on your list of what you need to get. If you go in hungry, chances are you're going to buy that bag of Doritos or popcorn, and you're going to down it even before you leave the store, and you don't want to do that. So make sure you do that. Also, make sure you don't buy junk food. So if it's not in your house, so I'm just going to go over a little story here. Like, you're sitting on the couch, you're watching TV, it's 9 o'clock at night, you're getting a little hungry, you want a snack, you open up the pantry, you find the Chips Ahoy cookies, you pop one in your mouth, and you start eating it. But the problem is that you don't want to have it. Then you're mad at yourself for eating the whole bag, because that's what typically happens. So what you want to do is you don't even want to have the Chips Ahoys in the house in the first place. So don't buy the junk food, don't have it in the house. And a lot of people have told me, well, I have family, I have kids, I have a spouse, they want to eat it. Well, you know what? Do yourself a favor for them and for you. So do them a favor is what I meant to say. And don't have that junk in there, because they don't need it either. So that's what you want to do, is just keep your pantries clean with good, wholesome foods, and that way you'll never be tempted to go out. Because chances are, if you're watching TV at 9 o'clock at night and you get that craving, you're not going to jump in the car and drive down to the store and buy a bag. You're just going to grab something if it happens to be in the house. So don't make it convenient for you to eat unhealthy. So make sure you do that. And also, when you are in the grocery store, make sure you spend most of your time in the produce section, and try to, so what you kind of want to do is be on the outsides of the store where all the produce and the lean proteins are, and you want to stay away from the middle of the store as much, because that's where all the processed stuff is, because it doesn't have to be refrigerated. So make sure that you do that, and you're going to have a better shopping experience. So the next one is to stay away from fad diets, and pick a diet that will work for you for the rest of your life. Now, you don't have to be there right off the beginning. So what you can live with the rest of your life might be different 3 years from now than what it is today. So pick one that you can live with right now that you think you can live the rest of your life. If you can improve it down the road, that's great. You don't want to do something that you don't think you're going to do for a week and you say, okay, I can't stand this anymore and I'm going to drop it. So make sure you pick one that you can do the rest of your life. It is a journey, and just remember, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, so you take your time to get there. And there's a lot of different diets and they all work for different people. There's vegan, there's vegetarian, there's omnivore. You need to pick one of those. I am now vegan, but for 59 years I wasn't, so I became vegan just about 8 months ago. So you have to pick the one that works for you. That one works for me right now, but you have to pick the one that's going to work for you. So make sure you do that, and then if you want to change it down the road and make it even better and healthier, you can always do that. Make sure you get this is very important, that make sure you get a good breakout of the macronutrients. So what are the macronutrients? The macronutrients are lean protein, good carbs, and healthy fats. So what's in a lean protein? For your vegans out there, it's tofu, it's quinoa, it's lentils, it's chickpeas, it's all that stuff. There's a lot of other stuff too. And then for non-vegans, one of the best forms of lean protein is organic chicken breast or wild-caught salmon, cold fish salmon, like salmon. So those are good. For protein, good carbs. What's good? Well, stay away from gluten is what I would really recommend. I am not a big gluten fan. A lot of us have problems with gluten and digesting it. So that means whole wheat and that kind of stuff. And also just all your bleached wheat, all that stuff that's processed, you want to stay away from. So what's a good carb? Well, I would say veggies and fruits are very good carbs. Nuts and seeds are very good carbs. Quinoa is a good carb. So there's good carbs out there. Make sure you reach for those instead of the bad ones. And then healthy fats. I would stay away from as much animal saturated fat as possible. It's like one of the worst things that you can put in your body. It elevates cholesterol, it hardens the arteries. So stay away from animal saturated fat as much as you can. Great sources of healthy fats would be avocados, nuts, seeds. And again, if you're not vegan, that cold water fish like a salmon has a lot of great omega-3s in it, and that is actually pretty good for you. It's like a lot less bad saturated fat that you will find in beef or pork. And you think about like bacon, it's all fat, and it's all bad saturated fat. So make sure that you're reaching for the healthy fats and you'll be better off. Like olive oil is actually a good healthy fat. The next tip I have is to try to make your own food when you can. And why is that? It's because you can control what goes into that food. Because when you go out to dinner or you go out to fast food, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute, but when you do that, you don't know what they're putting in it. And I guarantee you there's a lot of bad stuff that goes into it. So make sure that you cook your own food, and that way you'll know what's in it, and then you can put in good organic ingredients that are healthy for you, and you'll be good. And I'll talk about that in a minute too. So the first one is, when I talk about fast food, is never eat fast food if you can. It's all just processed, the lowest quality meats, vegetables, breads, everything. It's the lowest quality they can because they need to get their margins up and they need to sell it cheap. So in doing that, you end up with a very inferior product, and you're not really benefiting your body at all. All you're doing is consuming a bunch of junk that's not going to help you out at all. So make sure you stay away from any fast food, and that even includes these sub places that say they're healthy, and I mean they might talk about the meats are lean or whatever, but they're all basically processed. So most cold cuts are processed because and you don't even know where they're coming from. It could be coming from a bunch of different animals. So when there's like a chicken loaf, it could be like hundreds of different chickens, pieces from 100 different chickens that are going into that loaf. And then they have to put a lot of salt in it, they have to put preservatives in it, and it just ends up being not a good product for you. So just make sure you stay away from, as much as you can, stay away from any of that kind of stuff. Processed meats, fast food, all that kind of stuff. And don't be fooled by someone telling you that it's a healthy alternative when it clearly is not. So make sure you do that. And one of the things you can do, like a very easy meal that you can do at home that takes almost no time at all, is you can make a stir fry. So you can put a little bit of avocado oil in, because you can heat that up a little bit hotter than olive oil and it won't break down. So you do that and make sure if you can get organic, that's great. And then you just put in some organic peppers, onions, mushrooms, broccoli. Stir that up, put a little bit of cocoa aminos in. If you don't know what cocoa aminos are, they're basically soy sauce, but it's a much better alternative than soy sauce because it has a lot less salt in it. And then you can add tofu if you're a vegan. Just cook it all up and put it on top of cauliflower. If you're not vegan, you can use, again, chicken breasts that are organic, and that way you end up with a clean source of protein that's gonna be healthy for you. So that's one just option that takes 15 minutes to do. It doesn't take long at all, and you got a healthy alternative than that Big Mac. Also, if you really love Big Macs, because I have to say I did like the taste of a Big Mac. I don't like what it is, so that's why I really haven't had a Big Mac probably in about 30 years. And I haven't been vegan that long, but I also haven't eaten a Big Mac because they're just terrible for you. But if you go online and you just Google healthy alternative to Big Mac, you could probably get something that's going to taste a little bit like a Big Mac, but you'll know what the ingredients are, you're going to make it, and it's probably going to be a much better alternative for you than that Big Mac. Because also, if you are going to use ground beef, maybe use the Impossible Burger, which is or Beyond Beef, which is a vegan source. It's not meat. It's a plant-based burger type of thing. Or you can use very lean, organic ground beef, and you're going to end up with a much better alternative than that Big Mac, which is using the lowest quality meat that they can find. So make sure you do that. Making your own food is one of the best things you can do. The other thing is this: quality is always better than quantity. So make sure you don't just, instead of shoving in a bunch of really bad food so it fills you up, but the problem is you're not getting any nutrients, real nutrients to your cells, because the blood takes those nutrients as you digest it. Those nutrients will absorb into your body. They get into the blood takes it to all the cells, and the cells are also helping, because your heart's made out of cells, your lungs are made out of cells, your muscles are made out of cells. So if you're putting in crap, then all those things are going to start shutting down, and you don't want them to shut down. So make sure that you're eating quality products, and that way you will be much better off. So stick with that lean protein, good carbs, healthy fats. Stay with as much organic as you can. I know it's not going to be 100%, but just do as much as you can. The next tip is to don't think of any kind of change in your diet as depriving yourself. And I think that's where everyone ends up falling apart. It's the mindset. So instead of thinking, like when I went vegan, I could have easily said, I can't eat steak anymore, I can't eat lobster anymore, I can't have a hot dog or a hamburger. But instead, I chose the way to think and say, well, look at all the new things I'm going to start eating now. So I'm going to start eating tofu and tempeh. I'm going to try that out. I'm going to try jackfruit out. I'm going to try all sorts of different things. I'm going to get more beans and legumes in my diet. I'm going to get more vegetables in my diet. And in doing that, I'm looking forward to trying different things. I'm also hitting all these different vegan restaurants that are around, and I live in the San Diego County, but so I'm not far from LA, and LA has a lot of great vegan restaurants, so I'm hitting those up. And I'm telling you, there's a lot of great vegan restaurants out there, and I'm learning how to eat some really terrific different foods that I never would have actually tried, that I'm finding that taste fantastic and are also good for me, and also is vegan. So make sure whatever one you pick, make sure you don't just say, I'm depriving myself. That's something. So like if you love cakes, don't say, God, I can never have a cake anymore. And once in a while you can, but make sure that you're saying, but I can try this thing out instead, and that's healthy for me. So make sure you have that mindset. That's going to help out a lot. Make sure you also read the labels, like the fact, the ingredients. Read the labels of the foods that you eat. So it's so easy for a package to say healthy or low fat. They'll say like no fat or low fat. And yeah, there might not be any fat in it, but there might be a lot of other bad chemicals in it or bad other stuff in it. So make sure, or let's say it's got all sugar in it and it says no fat. Okay, so there's no fat in it, but it's still not good for you. So make sure you flip that bag over and look at the ingredients And what you're looking for is not to have that many ingredients in the bag. Like you would think a potato chip should have potatoes, some sort of oil, like let's say peanut oil, and sea salt. You know, if it has those 3 ingredients, maybe it's not as bad as you think. But if you look at the bag of the average potato chip bag, you're going to notice that there's a lot more ingredients in there than just that. And you probably can't pronounce most of them because there's a lot of preservatives in all that stuff. So just make sure that you are looking at the ingredients of everything you buy and try to go with all the products. Make sure the ingredients, you can pronounce them, you know what they are. And if you don't know what it is, Google it, and that way you'll know what it is, and you can move forward that way. That way you'll probably be buying much better, healthier alternatives than what you were buying before. The next one is to avoid, kind of goes in with reading labels, but avoid highly processed foods. So what I'm saying is, I'm not saying it can't be processed, because a lot of things are processed. So, but try to stay away from highly processed foods. So, for instance, if you're looking for like no artificial flavors, no artificial colors, no added processed sugar, not bleached or enriched, all that stuff, high fructose corn syrup, a lot of that stuff is not good for you and is also addictive. So what you're looking for, if you do have some ones, you're looking at least for them to have no artificial flavors, no artificial colors, and low amount of preservatives. It does, some of it's going to have preservatives in it. You can't get away from it 100%, but you want to reduce it down. So there are some things that are better than others. If you're part of like a diet program, then the bars and the shakes are going to have some of that in there, but you want to look for the ones that have no artificial colors and no artificial flavors. And if you're also looking for a great diet program, my wife, Robyn, is a health coach, and she works with a company that has some great products that will help you eat healthier, lose a lot of bad weight, not the good weight, but the bad weight, and then will also then teach you how to eat healthier, and that way you'll wean off of those products and you'll be eating healthy food that you get in the grocery store eventually, and you'll be much better off. And so if you want information from her, you can get a free consultation, and I'll put that in the description below. But she's basically on Facebook, and you can go to her Facebook page. Her name is Robyn Gault. You can send her a Facebook message, and you can just set up that time. The consultation is free, it doesn't cost anything, and you don't have to do anything. If you say no, or I want to think about it, that's fine too. The next one is you want to start now. I mean, it's so easy to say, okay, well, I'm going to do this after the holidays, or I'm going to do this after my birthday, or I'm going to do this after my vacation. But what are you waiting for? It doesn't have to be cold turkey too. So you can say, okay, I'm going to slowly get there, and I'm going to knock out some things. I'm going to eat a little healthier. But let's say your vacation's 3 weeks away, and you're going to be there for 2 weeks. So that's a 5-week period. So you're going to start 5 weeks from now. Or you could start now before your vacation. You can look great for your vacation, and you can very easily carry these things over in your vacation for the 2 weeks. You can still cheat once in a while, during that vacation, but boy, after that 5 weeks, you're going to be so much better off than if you didn't start at all and you waited. And then what's going to happen is you're going to come back from that vacation, you're going to oh man, I'm tired, I don't want to think about this for a week, so that's another week that's going to go by, and then you're going to say, oh my God, it's Johnny's birthday now, and we have to celebrate that. So there's never a good time to start other than today. So you want to start this today as opposed to keep pushing it off, and you're going to be much better off. It is a journey. Remember to enjoy that. Remember to enjoy the journey. And are you going to slip and mess up? Yeah, probably so. I mean, I do. I mess up every once in a while. But what the thing is, what you want to do is, if you do mess up, you want to get right back. You don't want to beat yourself up. This is not anything. This is just for you. So it's not like you owe anyone anything. This is for you. And so if you mess up, you just mess up, and you just start over again the next day, and you continue it, and you just keep doing as best you can. And I don't know if you read a book called The Compound Theory, which I read, but little steps like that you do, and you won't see the results overnight, but boy, I'll tell you, a year from now, if you start it and you look at yourself, you're going to be so much more healthier in that year, even with little tiny steps, little changes in your diet, than if you didn't start at all. So just know that you can slip, but if you could be like 85, 90% good to the diet, then you're doing well and you're doing a lot better than the average person. So try to do that. So again, don't beat yourself up. That's what I'm getting at. I know I beat that to death, which I do a lot. Sorry about that. That's really all I had for today's video, but I'm just kind of curious where you are with your diet. Are you going to make any of these changes? What are you doing now? Are you going to make any of the changes that we talked about today? And if so, which ones are you going to do? Please share that in the comments below. I think it's great not only so we can all look at it and we can all learn from it, but also it's going to be great for you because you're getting it out there and it's going to say, oh, I told these people that I'm going to do this and this and this. So you'll probably go ahead and do it. And then you can always come back later and say, here's what happened. This is what happened in my results. So make sure you do that. Put that comment in there. Also, if you like the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. That way YouTube knows to push it out to other people so they can benefit from this video too and they can get healthy, right? Also, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel and that way you'll be notified, and you want to ring that bell notification, and that way you'll be notified every time I drop a healthy living video. And currently I'm dropping them every Thursday and every Sunday. So it's 2 a week. So you'll be notified, you don't have to think about it, you can click on it, you can watch it, you can get the benefit, and we can move on. And if you know anybody else that can use a healthy living videos like this in this channel, make sure you share this video and also the channel with them so they can subscribe, watch this stuff, and they can join in on all the healthy fun like you are. And for more tips on how to live a healthier, happier life, 2 videos are going to pop up and you can click on any of those videos and you can continue your healthy, happy journey. And I will see you all soon.